The old bus rumbled through the night, its engine groaning with age and wear. The streets were deserted, save for the occasional flicker of a street lamp casting long shadows on the wet pavement. The bus moved slowly, almost reluctantly, as if it too felt the weight of the night. Rain lashed against the windows, creating a rhythmic drumming that filled the otherwise silent bus. Each drop seemed to echo the loneliness of the journey, a constant reminder of the storm raging outside. The windows were streaked with water, distorting the view of the dark, empty streets. Inside, shadows danced in the dim light, cast by the flickering overhead bulbs. The seats were mostly empty, save for a few weary passengers who sat hunched over, lost in their own thoughts. The air was thick with a sense of unease, as if the bus itself was holding its breath. At the very back, a single seat remained empty. It was the last seat, shrouded in darkness, almost as if it was waiting for someone or something. The other passengers avoided looking at it, their eyes darting away whenever they caught a glimpse of the empty space. The last seat. No one dared to sit there. It had been empty for as long as anyone could remember. Stories circulated among the regular passengers, tales of strange occurrences and eerie sightings. Some said they had seen a shadowy figure sitting there, only to vanish when they looked again, not anymore. They said it was haunted. The stories varied, but they all had one thing in common: a sense of dread that seemed to emanate from that seat. Some claimed to have heard whispers, others felt a cold breeze, even though the windows were closed. The seat had become a symbol of fear, a place to be avoided at all costs. A cold shiver ran down my spine as I glanced at the seat. I had heard the stories too, but I'd always dismissed them as mere superstition. Yet sitting there in the dimly lit bus, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that crept over me. It was as if the seat was watching me, waiting for me to make a move. I tried not to look at it. I focused on the rain, the rhythmic drumming against the windows, anything to keep my mind off that seat. But it was no use. The more I tried to ignore it, the more it seemed to draw my attention. It was like a magnet, pulling my gaze back to it no matter how hard I tried to resist. But something drew my eyes back to that empty seat. It was an inexplicable pull, a curiosity mixed with fear. What was it about that seat that scared people so much? Was it just the stories, or was there something more? I found myself staring at it, trying to see if there was anything unusual, anything that could explain the sense of dread that filled the bus. What was it about that seat that scared people so much? The question lingered in my mind unanswered. The bus continued its journey through the night. The rain continued to fall, and the last seat remained empty, a silent enigma in the darkness. As the bus rumbled on, I couldn't help but wonder if I would ever find out the truth behind the last seat. The bus was called the Springfield Flyer. It ran twice a day between Springfield and Rivertown. It was a route shrouded in darkness and whispered secrets. Everyone who rode the Springfield Flyer knew about the last seat. They knew to avoid it. They knew the story of the ghost that haunted the last seat. I first heard the story from the bus conductor. Old Man Withers, they called him. He had eyes that seemed to see everything. He told me about the ghost. His voice was a low growl. John Sanders, his name was, he said. He used to ride this very bus every day, always sat in the last seat. Old Man Withers pointed a gnarled finger towards the back of the bus. That seat. John Sanders was a simple man. He lived a quiet life in Rivertown. Every morning he took the Springfield Flyer to work at the library in Springfield, and every evening he returned on the same bus. He was a kind man, John Sanders, always had a smile for everyone. He loved books and stories. He would often chat with the other passengers, sharing tales from his latest read. Section 5. The day death rode the bus. Then one day it happened. John Sanders boarded the bus as usual. He settled into his customary seat, the last seat. He pulled out his book and began to read, but fate had other plans. Midway through the journey, John Sanders clutched his chest. His face contorted in pain. He had suffered a massive heart attack, and there, in the last seat of the Springfield Flyer, John Sanders breathed his last. Section 6, the seat stayed empty. At first, no one thought much of it. People die even on buses. But then things started to happen. Strange things, unexplained things. It began with the last seat. It remained eerily cold. Even on the hottest days, a chill seemed to emanate from it. Passengers who tried to sit there felt a strange unease. They complained of feeling cold and uncomfortable. They said the seat felt occupied. Section 7, thrown from the seat. Then came the night a man was thrown from the seat. He swore he'd felt a cold hand on his shoulder. He claimed an unseen force had yanked him back. He tumbled into the aisle, bruised and shaken. From that day on, no one dared to sit in the last seat. The whispers started. The rumors spread. The last seat was haunted by the ghost of John Sanders. Section 9, a haunted reputation. The Springfield Flyer earned a reputation for being haunted. People started avoiding the bus altogether. Those who had no choice but to travel on it did so with trepidation. They sat as far away from the last seat as possible. The last seat remained a constant reminder of the unseen passenger, a chilling testament to the ghost that rode the Springfield Flyer.